Frankie.
And I'm Lydia.
And we are taking over this week on Rock Solid.
We hope you guys have had a really amazing week. And so just to begin with, why not play a game of word association? So how this works is someone in the room will start off by saying a word, and then the person next to you has to say a word that is linked to that word, and you just go around the circle and do that. So I might start off with cats, and Frankie might say
dogs.
Then I might say pet or something like that, and just keep going around. So have a go at that, and yeah, just do that for a few minutes.
Great, I hope you were all saying lots of silly things and having a bit of a giggle. Okay, we're going to play another game now, and this one involves you getting into teams. Well, try to anyway. You want about groups of 4+, so if you don't have enough for that in your group, just make one big group and we can play this game a bit differently. The idea is that each group is going to make up a different room of the house. So for example, let's go with 2 rooms. Let's do an example first. So for example, if we did like the kitchen, every person in the group must choose a different thing that's in the kitchen and become it and like make it with your bodies. For example, I could be the kitchen sink, so I would go like this and make the kitchen sink. And Lydia
could be a table.
Yeah,
could be like
and then you can make a table with your body. Okay, and then what you have to do is think of a good reason as to why you shouldn't be thrown away. And the idea is that your leader is having a clear out of their house and they're looking for things to throw away. Okay, so and one thing in each group is going to be thrown away, and you'll take a vote at the end as to which one you think is going to get thrown away. And the idea is not to be the best object, but you want to give the best reason as to why you can't be thrown away. So, for example, I could be the bed, and I could say, "Oh, you can't throw me away because without me you won't be able to sleep." And then Lydia could be a rug, and she could say, "Oh, but I'm a really, really comfy rug, so if you did throw away the bed, you could sleep on me and it'd be fine." And then try and present their case. So we'll give you a little bit of time now to play that game, and leader, I want you to vote on who you think gave the best
reason.
The best reason. Leader, I want you to give the vote on who gave the best reason, and the worst reason is going to get thrown away. Okay.
So I hope you had an amazing time playing that game. So now we're just going to read a bit of the Bible. You can feel free to pause the video and read it in your groups yourselves. But Frankie's just going to read from Romans 8 verses 5 to 15.
Okay. Those who live following their sinful selves think only about things their sinful selves want. But those who live following the Spirit are thinking about the things the Spirit wants them to do. If people's thinking is controlled by the sinful self, there is death. But if their thinking is controlled by the Spirit, there is life and peace. When people's thinking is controlled by the sinful self, they are against God, because they refuse to obey God's law and really are not even able to obey God's law. Those people who are ruled by their sinful selves cannot please God. But you are not ruled by your sinful selves. You are ruled by the Spirit, if that Spirit of God really lives in you. But the person who does not have the Spirit of Christ does not belong to Christ. Your body will always be dead because of sin. But if Christ is in you, then the Spirit gives you life, because Christ made you right with God. God raises Jesus from the dead, and if God's Spirit is living in you, he will also give life to your bodies that die. God is the one who raised Christ from the dead, and he will give you life through his Spirit that lives in you. So, my brothers and sisters, we must not be ruled by our sinful selves or live the way our sinful selves want. If you use your lives to do wrong things your sinful selves want, you will die spiritually. But if you use the Spirit's help to stop doing the wrong things you do with your body, you will have true life. The true children of God are those who let God's Spirit lead them. The Spirit we received does not make us slaves again to fear. It makes us children of God. With that Spirit we cry out, Father, or Abba, and that's the end. Sorry. And the Spirit himself joins with our spirits to say we are God's children.
Brilliant. So if you just want to take a moment in your groups and just see, can you summarise this passage? Maybe if you have a study Bible at home, and what do the notes say about this passage? So just take a few moments to do that now. So I hope you had some great chats there about that passage. So this passage kind of comes at a time, Paul has just introduced the big idea in the few verses before this about Christians not to walk or live according to the flesh or their sinful desires, but actually to the Holy Spirit. But what does that actually mean? It all sounds a little bit strange. What does it mean to walk in the Spirit or in the flesh? So basically Paul describes it as being related to where we set our minds. In other words, living by the flesh refers to doing things our own way, not following God, doing our own thing without any thought of God really. But when we start to follow Jesus, our focus changes. Rather than wanting to do things our own way, we want to live in the way Jesus would want us to live. It's a transformation. And this is what living by the Spirit refers to. Those who look to Jesus for direction, who worship him and allow him to change and shape them. When we trust in Jesus and decide to follow him, we can be sure that we have the Holy Spirit living in us and with us, and we do live according to the Spirit. But does this mean we never think of things of the flesh or try and do things our own way without God? No, of course not. None of us are perfect. I'm certainly not perfect. But trying to do things our own way and our sin doesn't define who we are anymore, even when we may be drawn that way from time to time. And in Romans 8:6 it says, "For the mind set on the flesh is death, but the mind set on the Spirit is life and peace." And when we know Jesus, it talks about us being alive. So it's kind of a little analogy that we kind of really like about a flower. And actually, when a flower grows, it's alive, it's growing, it's really beautiful. And even though it may not have an outward perfect appearance, sometimes you see petals fall off flowers or it may not look perfect, but it is alive. Whereas if we think of a fake flower, it may have the outward appearance of being perfect, it may be concerned with looking the part, but it can't grow and change because it isn't alive, it isn't flourishing or growing. And almost the water and the nutrients within a flower that allow it to grow and change, without that a plant's not alive. And so when we know Jesus, we have that Spirit within us, and it's that makes us fully alive. And this passage also talks about how that Spirit is not only within us, but it also brings about our adoption into sonship. But what does this mean? We're going to take a few moments now and just have a think about, what do you think could help us fix our minds on Jesus rather than the things of the flesh? And also, what do you think the passage means when it says we will be adopted into sonship?
Okay, great. So we hope you've had a good time discussing those questions, and we're going to have a little bit of a reflection as well on kind of what we have taken from this. So looking back at Romans 8:14 to 15, it says, "The true children of God are those who let God's Spirit lead them. The Spirit we receive does not make us slaves again to fear. It makes us children of God. With that Spirit we cry out, Father." And looking back to all of this, what it's kind of saying is we are all invited into the house and the family of God as his children through his Holy Spirit which lives in us. And unlike in the game that you guys played earlier, God isn't going to chuck us if we don't give him a good reason for him to keep us. And it's not based on how well you serve or how well you pray. It's unconditional love, and it's an unconditional adoption into this family. God is our Abba, meaning Father, forever. He's chosen each of us because we are special, just as we are. And we each have our own unique role to play. Even though we come from different backgrounds, we are all adopted into this family to be co-heirs with Christ and inherit all God has to give us. This home isn't necessarily even a physical place with furniture, with appliances and stuff. It's a home made of people, God's people, and filled with the Holy Spirit. And that connects us and makes all of us family. And one day we're going to go to our eternal home in heaven, which is reserved for us as God's children.
And as believers in Jesus, we're promised actually one day we will be called home. Although our life circumstances on earth will be different for each one of us, as followers of Jesus, we can know we will eternally have a place to call home. We're part of his family, and we have a beautiful and secure home with him, which is amazing. So just in your groups, just take a moment to just chat and discuss about what does home mean to you? What does it look like? Maybe it's a place where you feel safe and comfortable, where you have fun, where you can be yourself, and just have a moment to discuss those things.
Okay, now that you've had a chance to discuss those things, we'd like you just to pause and take a moment to picture this home and family which God has made for us, and take this time to either thank God for adopting you into his family, or if you're not really feeling at home right now, ask God to draw nearer to you and reveal how much he loves you. So just take some time now in prayer.
Brilliant. So I hope you've had a great time of prayer there. And just to finish, we just want to leave you with a challenge for this week. So maybe if you want to think of maybe 2 friends that you know that either don't know Jesus or maybe are having a difficult time at the moment, and just try and spend a little bit of time this week. It doesn't have to be a long time, just to pray for them and simply pray that they may know Jesus and be welcomed into his family. And maybe practically you could maybe invite them to church or to Rock Solid, and just give them that invitation to learn about Jesus for themselves. But we hope you all have an amazing week, and it's been great to spend this time with you.
Thanks guys, bye.
Bye.